Very good morning to all of you and welcome to the session, the Hindu editorial analysis for proficiency in English. As usual, let us start with the snippets. The very first one, monthly figures, GST collection rises to over 1.83 lakh crore. There is one important word here. Rises. We have got many a time. What is the meaning of rise? To go up. Why should you focus on that word? There are two words that come under confusing words. Rise, raise. We have got many a time. Rise, rose, risen. Irregular verb, intransitive verb. Raise, raised, raised. It is a regular verb and a transitive verb. Otherwise, nothing to learn as such. Let us go to the next one. Many of you must have watched last evening's match between West Indies and India, and Samson played extremely well. Based on the T20 World Cup, Samson sizzles as India enters the semi-finals. Sizzle in this context means to play extremely well, to shine. What does it mean? To shine. Coming to the next one, market manipulators issue. SEBI to boost tech surveillance, use AI. Market manipulators issue. Manipulate someone, manipulate something. Not a positive word, a negative word. To control that, SEBI to boost tech surveillance. Boost means improve, increase, make something better. Encourage also you can say. And here, surveillance, to observe something thoroughly or carefully, to scrutinize, to observe, to be vigilant about someone or something. Better expression, surveillance. Use AI. Everywhere we use AI. You all know that. Coming to the next one, data point. Quickly you have to recollect datum singular, data plural. But data is also used as a collective noun. Based on that, we can use a singular verb, we can use a plural verb. UP gets over 84% of all out of state MPLADS funds. It's about funds. A particular state has got 84%, it seems. Which state is that? Uttar Pradesh. Only 21 MPs accounted for such spending. Only 21 MPs accounted for such spending. Means they have shown the proof that they have spent the money. To understand, you have to read that. Here we have another snippet. Kejriwal's rally, countdown for BJP's downfall has begun. Has begun. Begin, began, begun. Has begun, it is in present perfect active voice. And rally, the moment you see the word rally, you have to think of related words. What are the related words? Protest, rally, procession, placards, slogans, all these words. We have got many a time. Coming to the main headline, Iran bombs US allies across West Asia. You can see the pic also. Iran vows revenge for the killing of Supreme Leader, trade strikes with Israel. Trump warns against retaliation. What is the meaning of retaliate? Someone troubles you, you trouble them in turn. That is retaliation. Israel pledges non-stop strikes against Iran's leader's military. It's all about the war in a way in the West Asian region. Important, you have to read this article. You have to know about the ramifications. Coming to the other snippets, most Bengal SAR hearings are from Muslim districts. This SAR has been controversial. I've done a few editorials as well related to that. It seems most Bengal SAR hearings are from Muslim districts. You have to read the article to know why. Courts too must acknowledge errors, sing we. Imagine a court has gone wrong in a particular issue. It has to acknowledge, it has to admit, it has to confess. According to someone, courts too must acknowledge errors. Coming to the pic, usually we have on the front page in the middle, but today it is towards left. What is it about? Festive of colors. You all know Holi is fast approaching. Based on that, gearing up. What is the meaning of gear up? To get ready for something. A vendor sells colors in the market ahead of Holi in Kolkata on Sunday. The festival is set to be celebrated on March 4th, day after tomorrow. Today is 2nd, March 4th, Holi. Festival of colors. And let us go to the other headlines. What are the other headlines we have? This is over 350 flights cancelled by Indian Airlines. Services to all 11 nations halted. Cancelled by Indian Airlines. 350 flights because of they started attacking Dubai. Based on that, services to 11 nations halted. What is the meaning of halt? To stop. Embark, you can say. At least 18 killed, 20 injured in explosion at Nagpur munitions factory. Munitions, an important word. It means arms and ammunition. We use the word munitions. 22 killed, over 120 hurt in Pak protest on Iran strife. Strife is something like an issue, a dispute, a row. And against that backdrop, it seems 22 killed and over 120 hurt in Pak protest on Iran strife. Iran issue, you can take it that way. Now let us go to today's editorial, and this editorial is about the reaction of Supreme Court. If you take NCERT books in a particular edition, it seems there is some reference to the Supreme Court, and the text says Supreme Court, it talks about the corruption when it comes to the courts. And based on that, Supreme Court has reacted. It is about selective outrage, Supreme Court and NCERT textbook controversy. So what is this editorial about? It is about the controversy related to NCERT books and Supreme Court. Supreme Court's reaction to NCERT reacted strongly to critical references about the judiciary, called it a deep-seated conspiracy to tarnish integrity. Tarnish means spoil someone's image, integrity. Declared it won't allow anyone on earth to attack judiciary, prompted by passages on case pendency and judicial corruption. Instances of corruption exist. Censoring is not a correction. It seems in NCERT books, they have mentioned two things which go against the Supreme Court or courts in general. What is the first one? Case pendency. You all know it takes a lot of time when a particular case goes to court, and obviously that has been pointed out. Second dimension pointed out, judicial corruption. Now the writers stand. Instances of corruption exist. Censoring is not a correction. Completely stopping that information, removing that information, reacting or overreacting, not acceptable. That is a stand taken by the writer. Trend of textbook revisions. Key part of government agenda since coming to power. They have been modifying and editing the texts. This is the background information. Right-wing criticism of certain judgments, environment versus development, religious practices. PM advisor called judiciary an obstacle to development. This is also perhaps the court found it not acceptable. Who has said that? PM advisor says the court acts as an obstacle. That is something goes against the court. View of textbook as an intimidation attempt. An important word, intimidate means what? To frighten. Intimidation means frightening someone, threatening someone. Textbooks as official accounts, but problematic passages exist. It is something like credible information, whatever you see in the textbook. But there are some problems. We have to sort out those problems. Problems in textbook content. What are the problems here? Broad brush sentences like people experience corruption at various levels. That's a general statement. Criticisms also in chapters on government, executive, currency notes in a candidate's car. Aims for critical awareness, not bland tutorials. All these are the problems that exist in the textbooks. This is one, there are two dimensions, one related to civics, the other one related to history. In NCERT books, there is another dimension the court has not touched. Based on that, the writer criticizes the court. Valorizes medieval Hindu kingdoms. Valorize means consider something worthy of honor. Portrays struggles as resistance to Muslim rule. Negative portrayal of Muslim kingdoms. Brief mentions of Akbar's tolerance, Babur. Unbalanced view of British rule penury versus Mughal era wealth. Wars for plunder not exclusive to Muslim rule. These are the dimensions touched. From this you understand, based on all this, call for nuanced analysis. Textbooks should spark critical awareness, not offer bland accounts. Bland, one of the meanings is dull, monotonous. Problem is not just targeting the judiciary, but selective targeting of portions. Call for balanced history and rigorous civic studies. Two dimensions have to be touched, but the court has reacted only for the judiciary dimension. Whatever goes with the history of India, the court did not respond or react. That the writer criticizes. Avoid broad social media style assertions. All these have to be. This is the overall idea regarding today's editorial. Now let us go to the editorial. How does it start? Selective outrage. From this you should understand, outrage means anger. Selective outrage means there are two dimensions. One goes with civics, the other one goes with history. The court has reacted based on the court-related aspect where it was criticized. It did not respond to history-related aspect. Based on that, the writer says selective outrage means selective anger. Judiciary seems quick to take offense only when it sees itself under attack. Judiciary has to respond when it sees different dimensions, it has to respond accordingly, react accordingly. But the writer opines, the editor opines, it reacts only when it is criticized. When someone criticizes the judiciary responds. It does not look at other dimensions. Here itself, the writer takes a negative stand against the court. Judiciary seems quick to take offense only when it sees itself under attack. When it is attacked, it responds. Otherwise, it doesn't respond. That is the opinion of the writer. And do remember, before government bodies, we should use a definite article, the judiciary, the executive, the legislature. But based on the sentence pattern, sometimes we don't use. That you have to keep in mind. From this, you should understand the writer has taken a negative stand regarding the court. Selective outrage, one clue. Judiciary seems quick to take offense only when it sees itself under attack. Now we have to know what exactly happened, why this article has been written, why the writer criticizes the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court bench that took up the NCERT Class 8 Social Science textbook case might have overreacted when it saw the critical references to the judiciary as a deep-seated conspiracy and declared that it will not allow anyone on earth to tarnish the judiciary's integrity. All this comes to NCERT Class 8 Social Science textbook. In that textbook, some criticism against the court or against the judiciary. Based on that, the writer says in that case, the judiciary might have overreacted. Let me tell you, this is the opinion of the editorial. When it saw the critical references to the judiciary, and the judiciary feels it's a deep-seated conspiracy and made a categorical statement. What is that statement? Declared that it will not allow anyone on earth to tarnish the judiciary's integrity. Tarnish someone's image means what? Spoil someone's image. Here, tarnish the judiciary's integrity. Obviously, the judiciary has to have integrity. It says categorically it is not going to tolerate anyone on earth, that is very strong statement, to tarnish its image. While the government has expressed remorse, Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan's statement that action will be taken against officials responsible for inserting references to case pendency and judicial corruption is an exercise in executive arbitrariness prompted by judicial overreach. Very strong sentences, strong words. Regarding the reaction based on this, while the government has expressed remorse, remorse means what? Something like feeling of guilt. You feel bad for something. Shouldn't have happened. You feel bad about that, remorse. Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan's statement that action will be taken against officials responsible. We will take action against responsible officials. That is future tense active voice. Action will be taken, future tense passive voice. Action why? For inserting references to case pendency. In the textbook, there are two aspects which the judiciary did not like. One goes with pendency, means what? Lot of delay, and you all know many cases pending in the courts. Second one, judicial corruption. They did not like it, and he said action would be taken rather. Is an exercise in executive arbitrariness. What is the meaning of arbitrary decision? Arbitrary means not based on reasoning, not based on rationality, based on whims and fancies. Exercise in executive arbitrariness prompted by judicial overreach. Overreach means overacting, reacting more than what is required. In fairness to the court, it would likely not have taken offense to the passages had these had been in any other book. Here we have a past conditional. Had these been in some other book, the court wouldn't have taken that sort of a reaction. That is editorial's opinion. In fairness to the court, it would likely not have taken offense to the passages had these had been in any other book. Here we have a past conditional. Past conditional, what is the pattern? If clause we use past perfect tense, and main clause we use would plus have plus verb, past participle form. NCERT books, they have credibility, not like other books. NCERT books own image and books with credibility. But textbooks are official, authoritative accounts, and the judiciary found the passages ill-motivated. What are the textbooks, especially NCERT textbooks? In a way, official information, something authentic, something credible. But the court took offense regarding certain things, especially when it comes to case pending and when it comes to judicial corruption, and felt the passages ill-motivated, means not acceptable. Instances of judicial corruption are real. No one can deny that. Recently, a few cases have come into the limelight. Instances or incidents of judicial corruption are real, and censoring textbooks is not a corrective measure. If you censor the textbooks, something is not there, then definitely that has to be removed. But it's a fact that there is judicial corruption. Based on that, you cannot censor NCERT, a brand itself, that is true. Such a. You cannot censor completely. That is not a corrective measure. Definitely not a corrective measure. Completely removing, completely banning, not a corrective measure. When the fact is there is judicial corruption, but to what extent is a different question. Rampant, not rampant. Rampant means widespread. That's a different question. But judicial corruption is there or not, that is a valid point. Coming to the second part of the editorial, since the BJP came to power, rewriting school and college textbooks has been a key part of its agenda. Let me tell you, all this is based on the editorial. Nothing is personal, nothing is my opinion. Nothing is subjective, everything is objective. Based on the editorial, I am trying to improve your English proficiency. Do remember. The writer opines, BJP came to power. Since that time, something has been going on, has happened. Here, the moment you see the word since, the preposition, the clause is usually in past. It could be a phrase, a clause, or a time that goes into past. But the main idea should be in present perfect tense. Has been a key. That is present perfect. Means the context talks about from the past to the present. For that, we should use present perfect tense. Since the BJP came to power, rewriting school and college textbooks has been a key part of its agenda, according to the writer. Right-wing commentators often find court judgments such as those giving precedence to the environment as against development, or worse, as against religious practices of Hindus, and therefore not nationalistic or beneficial to the vast majority of the people of India. Here the sentence talks about right-wing commentators. How do they look at the court decisions? Right-wing commentators often find court judgments such as those giving precedence to the environment as against development. This is a big question. What is it? What is important? Is it environment or is it development? Court obviously favors environment, and right-wing thinkers may not like it. They prefer development. Such as those giving precedence here, importance to the environment as against development, or worse, as against religious practices of Hindus, and therefore not nationalistic or beneficial to the vast majority of the people of India. If the court gives importance to environment, right-wing thinkers feel that is not going to benefit vast majority of Indians. Same thing goes with religious practices as well. An advisor to the Prime Minister recently called the judiciary the single biggest obstacle to development. This is very too categorical statement, and not in a way. The statement is personal. To what extent it is acceptable? $1 million question. And who has said that? An advisor to the Prime Minister recently called the judiciary the single biggest obstacle to development. That is a bit strange. A bit strange beyond any doubt. The court perhaps saw the textbook as an attempt to intimidate the judiciary. The court, because the court is against the government, incumbent government, and all this in the textbook, the court must have felt, in a way it is a threat. Intimidate means frighten someone, intimidation, frightening someone. Frightening whom? The judiciary. The court perhaps saw the textbook as an attempt to intimidate the judiciary. Some of the sentences were indeed in the form of broad brushing social media assertions, not carefully constructed with rigor. Too general and not carefully constructed with rigor. Rigorous practices, you must have heard of that expression, means strictly speaking or looking at something meticulously, not done that way but casually, in a general way it must have happened. Some of the sentences were indeed in the form of broad brushing social media assertions. General statements, sweeping statements, never acceptable. Not carefully constructed with rigor. The textbook, for instance, said, people do experience corruption at various levels of the judiciary, and went on to describe complaints and redress mechanisms. This is a bone of contention or apple of discord. The judiciary did not like this particular dimension. People do experience corruption at various levels of the judiciary, and went on to describe complaints and redress mechanisms. But such critical references had been used in chapters dealing with the government or the political executive as well. It seems critical references have been made to other areas also, had been used in chapters dealing with the government or the political executive as well. The book did not restrict itself to the judiciary. It went beyond the judiciary. The chapter on elections had a picture of currency notes apparently found in the car of a candidate. This is a common scene. Everyone knows that at the time of election money is distributed, and this talks about that dimension. The chapter on elections had a picture of currency notes apparently found in the car of a candidate. The textbook writers probably aim to spark critical awareness, not offer bland tutorials in civic studies. Perhaps the writer feels those who have written the book, they wanted to create some sort of awareness, not to make general statements, not offer bland tutorials in civic studies. But as with other textbooks, there are problematic passages. This one goes with the judiciary. Other textbooks, there are some problems there also. The writer talks about those. What are those? The many history chapters uncritically valorize medieval Hindu kingdoms. Valorize a positive word. Consider something worthy of honor. The textbooks, chapters in some books, uncritically valorize medieval Hindu kingdoms and portray their struggle to retain power as rightful resistances to Muslim rule. Wars for plunder and territorial expansion have always been part of history. Usually history means what? In the past especially, plundering, taking the treasures away from a particular country, and also territorial expansion. Wars for plunder and territorial expansion have always been part of history, and they did not begin with Muslim invaders. Before that also, these were part of history. Chapters on Muslim kingdoms briefly refer to Akbar's tolerance and Babur's intellectual curiosity, but remain largely negative. All these sentences talk about other books. They criticized Muslims in other books, Muslim rulers, to substantiate all these examples. The chapter on penury under British rule and Mughal era wealth is not balanced. Again, editorial opinion, a particular chapter on penury. Penury means a lack of money, destitution, penury, poverty, synonyms. Under British rule and Mughal era wealth is not balanced. The problem is not that the textbook selectively targets the judiciary. It is that the judiciary selectively targets certain portions. How does it conclude? The problem is not with the textbooks. It is not the textbook selectively targeting some people or some organizations. It is the judiciary selectively targeting the targets certain portions, not all the portions. Had the court, in a nutshell, had the court talked about the different negative aspects of different textbooks, in different textbooks, that would have been justified. But it has reacted only to the criticism against the judiciary. It did not say a word about other areas related to history. That's what the writer wanted to convey. That's all about this editorial. Try to read once or twice and try to develop contextual awareness. That is very important. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.